Alright, so as we are approaching the end of the year, and with that, I am going to give you my list of my top 10 best movies for 2024. Now, especially, I had to narrow this down, and I had to choose carefully with this list because even though there were many great movies that have come out this year in 2024, but I had to choose carefully to make sure this is thorough, this is based on my opinion, but this is what I mostly enjoyed and what I rooted for, what I showed up to the theaters for. And so that's what the video for you guys in this video is, breaking down my top 10 best movies for the year as well. And so if you're new, then be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so someone's on any future videos, including for the content for 2025 coming real soon. But now let's get into the top 10. And now, coming at number 10 is A Complete Unknown. This is the Bob Dylan biopic, and even though at the time of recording this, I actually got to see this movie yesterday, but even though this is one of the greatest biopics I've ever seen, especially as this is telling the story of Bob Dylan, one of the greatest musicians of our time, this is telling the story through the 60s and what the man has been through, especially between freedom, peace, and justice, and what the story portrayed and what it told. It told it brilliantly, especially through the lens of Bob Dylan, trying to get people to notice him, trying to win people over with his music. I think it was told brilliantly, and even with Timothée Chalamet, he really nailed this movie. In fact, I think this is the best performance out of his entire career, and it's one of the best movies of this year in 2024. And what I love also about this biopic, it also teaches us about the style of music, the old style of Bob Dylan, especially the type of music that he makes, what type of background that he comes from, and plus this movie is filled with brilliant performances, especially coming from Edward Norton, Michael Barbaro, Elle Fanning, and also so much more. And especially with James Mangold, I think he really took that vision and with his directorial style and told it brilliantly. But even though that with James Mangold, that he is known for the comic book genre and also for the last Indiana Jones movie, but you even tell the story of Bob Dylan through his point of view and his perspective, and to have, I think Timothée Chalamet was the perfect choice for this role. And I swear to God, if this movie does not get nominated into award season, that would be criminal. And especially with Timothée Chalamet's performance, I mean, I just better hope that he gets an Oscar for this movie. So yeah, A Complete Unknown. I mean, this had to fit it into my top 10 because it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. And next up at number 9 is The Wild Robot. And to me, this is one of the best animated films, and specifically from DreamWorks. They made a brilliant movie. Not only is it emotional, but it's also heartfelt, and it told a brilliant story, especially about an intelligent robot named Roz who gets shipwrecked on an inhabited island and has to bond with the animals that are afraid of her and they want to mock her. But even for what this robot taught lessons about, and because especially as to make friends. But I mean, this movie also sends a clear, beautiful message, especially with the animation, especially with the upgraded from DreamWorks. This is some of the best work that I've ever seen, especially with Lupita Nyong'o. Totally nailed the voice of Roz, and along with Pedro Pascal, and along with the brilliant cast members. Also, Mark Hamill is in this movie, but not all that. But it's just a beautiful movie that we will have friends to bond over, and it totally got me in tears by the time to the end with the credits roll. This movie was definitely the winner from DreamWorks. I think it's one of the best animated films from this year, aside from the animation, but a brilliant score and also a beautiful emotional story to tell on the big screen, and that's what I really enjoyed. And yeah, no question about it, best animated film of 2024. And next up, at number 8 is Alien Romulus, and I think I think this is the best entry in this franchise because this goes back to the roots of the earlier Alien movies, like with 1 and 2. But what this movie delivered, it is out of this world because you have these young adults that are born upon a space station, especially the xenomorph, that is the monster attacking these people, and just learning the secrets of everything that the xenomorph and the monster and the creature has to offer. Keely Spaney, that is the ultimate final girl, and I loved her performance. This movie delivered thrills, scares, and that's with everything that we like about the Aliens franchise. Also, Fede Alvarez definitely crushed this movie. He knows how to adapt the story from the Alien franchise, but make it even more creepier and even more tense. He knows how to get the audience feel it. I just really like that we were back to the roots of the earlier entries, but made it scarier, especially with young adults on board, and make us feel scared for them. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed the heck out of this, and it's the best film. I mean, it's the best movie. And next up, at number 7 is The Substance. And now, especially, this was the talk of the social media that everyone has been talking about. It's one of the most gruesome horror movies. It's one of the most disturbing ones yet. And I'm not gonna lie to you, and without a doubt, this is one of like the most disturbing, gruesome, gross horror films that I've ever seen. But it's also filled with a genuine direction and story, and like an original idea for how they wanted to approach this as a horror flick, especially with Demi Moore, that delivers an outstanding performance, especially with this black market drug that she wants to make her life better, and clones herself into a younger version played by Margaret Qualley. And wow, just with these two, they pull off outstanding performances, and it has one of the best practical effects that I've ever seen put to film. Especially like within like the final minutes of the movie, it is a totally disturbing, and it's some of the best horror movie work that I've ever seen. And even Dennis Quaid that plays this type of evil person, but he is menacing. But a bravo to the brilliant camera work that this movie delivered, especially there are some like really gross stuff, like so much are like so graphic and brutal, and about like the dark side of Hollywood and how that is portrayed into a horror movie. But oh man, it is crazy and it is insane and outright so disturbing. And next up at number 6 is Terrifier 3, and that's right, I witnessed the Terrifier franchise for the first time, and Art the Clown, especially as he is becoming now one of my favorite horror movie icons in recent times, especially within the first 2 movies that were low budget, even though they have brutal, gory kills. Those were fun, but even with the third entry, this third installment, this one blew me away. Because with Art the Clown, he is more menacing than ever, and with the kills, they are upgraded like a ton. They're like 10 times more graphic, more violent and brutal, and actually it is so disturbing of the way that these kills were pulled off. They were so creative, and with the direction of this horror movie character, and with the way that he is portrayed, and even though this movie took place during the holiday season around Christmas, but with the horror-esque theme tone to it, it made it a more enjoyable experience. And those were times when those kills happened, I had to cover my eyes because of how brutal they got. And even though when Sienna Shaw, played by Laura Lavera, has become, if not one of my favorite final girls in recent time, but she is becoming in that household name because of this third entry. And with the way that this is shot with like movie production quality, and even though it upgraded its budget from the last 2 entries, but it won big at the box office, and it was like the talk of the town, because I mean, Terrifier, and now this franchise is becoming a new IP. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a ton more installments based on the upgraded increased budget that I wanted to go for, and what type of story I didn't want to tell with Art the Clown. They're full of scares, they're full of kills that are super creative and unique. It's one that I enjoyed the heck out of. And next, coming in at number 5 is Inside Out 2, and this is, if not a beautiful and the best animated sequel from Pixar. And even though I enjoyed the first Inside Out, it is beloved by everyone, even though each side of every family in every generation got to experience the first movie. But with the second movie, I adored this so much. I even loved it. It's so emotional, and it tackles the themes of puberty and just changes and moving on in life, and it introduces new characters and new emotions, and especially with the new story that they want to tell, and with all the things that are going on in Riley's life, and that we have the original emotions back, which they truly deliver. But even on top of that, with Anxiety played by Maya Hawke, was a true definite standout character, and is the things that we all relate to and we have in our everyday lives. But from what they adapted into film, especially from Pixar's perspective, it is so beautiful, and I really got in emotions. I shed a tear towards the end. It deserved to do over $1 billion, and everyone showed up to this movie. I think Pixar definitely needed a comeback, and this movie was definitely it. And I think it was because Inside Out is the original IP at the time, but even with the second movie, I adored it a lot more, I think, than the first movie. I don't think that's even questioned. But even with Inside Out 2, that was winner for Pixar, and it just got me in tears by the time the credits roll. And it's just a movie that has all those things that we can relate to in our everyday lives, but in animated form, and it's just a beautiful story. And coming at number 4 is Wicked, and this is without a doubt the best movie musical and the best Broadway adaptation I have ever seen. It was stunning. It was so beautiful to see the land of Oz and the way that this world is established, and because especially if you're a fan of the Broadway play, and I really enjoyed the heck out of this movie. But even though I stated that I never seen the play, but to see that play out on film, it was absolutely amazing. Not only from the incredible set pieces, but to the musical numbers, and even that there are fantastic performances, especially coming from Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, Jonathan Bailey, Michelle Yeoh, and even Jeff Goldblum as the wizard. And there are brilliant things about this movie that I want to gush about. Every musical number done brilliantly, every piece of the story that was brought justice, and I like the story of Alphaba and how she became the Wicked Witch of the East, and like just with everything that was pulled off in this film, and even within the final minutes of this movie, it was an adrenaline rush. It was a true triumph, and it made me want to create a Wicked Part 2 even more, especially with that final musical number, and just with the way that it felt being in the world of Oz, the Emerald City. It was truly freaking breathtaking. And even with John M. Chu and with his vision and Universal, they really told the story through the lens of his vision perfectly. They did every piece of the story justice, especially from adapting everything from the Broadway play to the story points I didn't want to tackle, especially, and even with the relationship between Alphaba and Glinda, it is obviously beautiful, and I think it really takes its time to develop the characters that we had to know on screen, and there are brilliant musical numbers, and it makes me want to watch it again, and I can't wait for what Wicked Part 2 has to deliver. Coming at number 3 is Challengers, and I think that this was the best movie of the year also, and Zendaya's best performances I have ever seen, especially this is like a sports drama filled with tense scenes and so many cheerful moments, because it's especially with these two tennis players that want to fall in love with this tennis girl, and to this woman to teach them how to play tennis, and to eventually form a love triangle, and combine that with like so much drama, and even has like the best score. And I really adored everything from this movie, and even Luca Ganjagrino pulled it off from like every point of view from Zendaya's character's perspective, and I think that there was a story done well. I think Zendaya was definitely the talk of the town with this movie. Each camera angle from the movie, it totally matches the film's tone, and I think Zendaya definitely nailed this movie. And she got her recognition for that. It is so fast moving, it is so fast paced, and it has like a very good score, and I'm looking forward to watching that movie again. But yeah, it is the best sports drama of 2024. And coming at number 2 is Deadpool and Wolverine, and this served not only the best Marvel movie in terms of MCU, but the best superhero movie in general. You have a Deadpool and Wolverine as like the ultimate team up, and with Hugh Jackman that came out of retirement to play this character since 2017's Logan, and with Deadpool coming back since 2018. But to have this team out that everyone has been waiting for, it was truly the fans' dream come true. And not only did this deliver a brilliant story, but even what Deadpool is made of and within his world, because he is the merc with the mouth, but to see him team up with Wolverine, and even with Wade's world and how it is in high stakes, it is truly amazing. And also with the cameos, and it serves a lot of heart, and it also gave me like emotions like towards the end, because you really feel the stakes for these characters. And even with the cameos and surprises that were served, I mean, their screen time was totally deserved. They weren't like 5 minutes of screen time that I don't know. Those cameos actually served a purpose of what the movie is actually told about, because I think that this was the definite comeback for Marvel Studios in the MCU, and it became the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, and even that it grossed over $1 billion, but also for the MCU in general. But it also pays tribute to everything that we love about Marvel and about superheroes, also for the Fox X-Men, Fantastic Four, and if you're a fan of everything MCU and Deadpool, but this movie delivered it perfectly. And I think Sean Levy had delivered an outstanding job, especially with the storytelling and how he wanted to tell it, especially with Ryan Reynolds' eyes and his portrayal of the character. It was just brilliantly well done, and I think I saw it twice in theaters, and I am due for a rewatch. But the opening scene alone is definitely bloody and gory. It was the ultimate theater experience, the ultimate No Way Home hype experience, and this movie was made feel like an event. But coming at number 1, and I think what the best movie of 2024 was Dune Part 2, and honestly, this was another hype movie that made it feel like an event, just like with Deadpool and Wolverine that I just mentioned on this list. But specifically with Dune Part 2, it was an event. Like you were going back into the world of Arrakis with Paul Atreides, like this is sort of like this theme of revenge, going after the people that killed his family. You also have brilliant performances, especially coming from Florence Pugh, Austin Butler, Dave Bautista, Stellan Skarsgård, and everything that they love about this world. And not only that, but it's also the trend of where the popcorn bucket started, because especially if you've seen it, that was the trend that started it all. It was phenomenal, and with Denis Villeneuve and what his direction was for this franchise. But even though I didn't like Dune 1, and I wasn't that like approached to it, and even though it was slightly boring, but even with the sequel, what the first movie should have been, it delivered. And I'm pretty sure Zendaya served her screen time well, and she deserved that well. But even with Timothée Chalamet, that definitely shines through this movie as the character of Paul Atreides, and there's everything that they love about it, especially from the VFX and the score. Now, like we're getting Dune Messiah, especially for the ending set up, and even though that we got spin-offs like with Dune Prophecy on Max, but even within this world that this story is adapted from the novel, but what it establishes, it's just a brilliant sci-fi, breathtaking story, especially with the tone of revenge. And so they have it. This is my top 10 list for 2024. I mean, it was hard to narrow it down, but I had to choose this carefully. And yeah, I'm happy with my choices that I picked. And yeah, these were the best movies that I enjoyed, and I'm pretty sure some of you have a different list as well. And yeah, so I can't wait to see for what the new year holds as we head into 2025 with so many new movies that are coming out, and some of them that might make next year's top 10 list as well, but we'll never know as well. But that's going to do it for this video. Just let me know in the comments below, and what are your thoughts on my list, and what is your list of your top 10 best movies for 2024. Just let me know in the comments below. I'm curious to hear your list. I'm just curious, that's all. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to notification bell for future videos, and also follow all my social medias over the link down below. And with that, I'll see you all in the next video and in the new year. Peace.